If you followed along and you've learned all your diatonic chords, you know in the key of A, you have A, the 2 is B minor, 3 is C sharp minor, the 4 is a major chord, the D, the 5 is a major chord, the E, or E7, we're at F sharp minor, and then you can also have a G sharp diminished, which leads you back to A. You've heard me say that quite often. So I can go to the B note, the 2 of the scale, and play a pentatonic minor. I have that here. We know that's going to become a Dorian when I fill it up. If I go to the C sharp and play a pentatonic minor to equate with the C sharp minor chord, I found that overlapping these two gave me notes all the way down the fret where the second chord is and all the way down where the third chord is. So here I have my second chord. The pentatonic minor is a 1, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 7. Right here at the 3, I can just smash the 3 scale over top of that. Also 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7 in relation to that note. But we saw that we got these little guys. Where we overlapped the 2 scales, we could create the modes. The 3 scale brought these 2 notes into this 2. The 2 scale brought these 2 into the 3. I'm just going to put these over here as well. You can see I'm not cheating at all. It's this same box, just moved down an octave. And there we have then our complete Dorian mode. Relative to the Dorian note, we have a 1, now we've put in a 2, we had the flat 3 and the 4 and the 5, we had this flat 7, and right beside it now is a 6. So here again on the root of the Dorian, we have a 1, a 2, and a flat 3, a 5, a 6, and a flat 7. So Dorian, just by overlapping it with Phrygian, has revealed that it's got 1, 2, flat 3, this little half step here, 4, 5, I like to shift back for the 6 to flat 7, the 2 to the flat 3 to the 4, 5 to the 6 to the flat 7, root, 2, and flat 3. Where these little half steps are though, can also be at the beginning of a Phrygian scale. So in relationship to the Phrygian note, the 3, this pinky note of the 2 scale is going to give us a flat 2 in Phrygian. So Phrygian has flat 2 and flat 3, 4, 5, where we had a 6 and a flat 7 in the 2, we have a 5 and a flat 6 in the 3 scale. There's your flat 2 again. There's your little box again. It's the same little box moved over here. Here those were 6 flat 7, 2 flat 3 in the Dorian. Over here they're 5 flat 6, root flat 2. So we've added a 2 and a 6 in this scale, a flat 2 and a flat 6 right here in Phrygian. So isn't that interesting? Well, to me it is. In pentatonic minor, you didn't have a 2 or a 6. In Dorian, we put them in, 2s and 6s. In Phrygian, we put in the flat 2 and the flat 6. So look how nice this is. We've got a pentatonic minor on the 2 with these gaps. We've got one on the 3 with the same gaps. On the 2, we can fill in those gaps with a whole step to half. Those same 2 notes hang behind the original notes, so we get the half step, whole, half step, whole. So Dorian has a very visual look to it. You get a whole step and a pinky, whole step, shift back, half steps, shift back up, whole step, and pinkies again. Phrygian is a little more boxed to me. This half step from the Dorian becomes the first thing you see in Phrygian. The extra notes are on the 4th and 5th strings with the pinkies. So the half steps are here instead of here. And they're earlier in the scale here and here. So the half steps have been moved earlier into the scale of the Phrygian. I'll fill those in up here. Here's your Dorian. We get a root, a 2, and a flat 3. We get our box on strings 3 and 4, and then it's sitting here on the higher end on strings 1 and 2. I could just memorize these visually now. I've taken that gap and filled them up with higher notes in Dorian. If I move them to the left, in Phrygian, I get the flat 6 and flat 2. So you can see how those two scales are both symmetrical, very much related to each other, but we've just moved those two notes over. We had to add a 2 and a 6 to either one. In this, they were natural, 2 and 6. In this, they're flat. There's your 2 and 6 on strings 3 and 4. There's your flat 2 and 6 on strings 4 and 5. So that leaves us with Aeolian at the end there. In your key, your one chord could be located here. 2 is going to be a minor. We used pentatonic, filled it into a Dorian because it overlapped with the 3, which could have been a pentatonic minor, filled up and overlapped into a Phrygian. Back here on the 6, here's 1, here's the 7, here's the 6. I can draw my pentatonic minor, and I know that relative to this scale I need 2s and 6s. Those are the notes missing. I can work them out any number of ways. One of the nicest ways for me is just to see where they are in this Dorian scale that I'm reaching for. I've got my 2nd fret. I actually took liberties here, sorry. Because I was finding my way back to the 6, I already put the 7 in. That 7 of the key is the 2 in Aeolian. So Aeolian has a 2. So I've got 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5. I'm going to need a 6 or a flat 6. I don't see it here, but I can actually find it out here. If I continued on this string, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6. Aha! It was the flat 3 of this scale or the flat 2 of this. So it's a flat 6. That note will be here. Well, this is kind of handy. I've got some nice symmetry here. Ring finger, pinky, ring finger, pinky. So I got 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. There's my root for Aeolian. There's my 2. I don't know if I want to reach out there. When I learned the scale, I did. I'd go pointer, ring finger, pinky, pointer, ring finger, pinky, pointer, ring finger, stretching out on my pinky. Now I tend to throw it back here. So now I've got 2nd, flat 3, 4. There's my 5. There's a flat 6 right beside a 5. So that goes here. Flat 7 root, we need a 2. So look what we've done with Aeolian compared to the other two. Dorian had a 2, and so does Aeolian. Phrygian has a flat 6, and so does Aeolian. It's borrowing. It's like a compromise between these two scales. On the top, it's got a 2 and a flat 6. So I call this the stagger. In Dorian, those two notes are 2 frets above the pentatonic notes. In Phrygian, they're 1 fret above. In Aeolian, they're staggered. You fill that gap between those pentatonic notes, either with notes to the left, notes to the right, or you stagger them off. That 2 ends up here. So again, we get a compromise. We get a Dorian string and a Phrygian string. A Dorian string and a Phrygian string. A Dorian string and a Phrygian string. So Aeolian is like a marriage between the two. It's a little harder to tell, but it was actually created the exact same way. When 2 and 3 overlapped, we could see these notes come in to make Dorians and Phrygians out of the 2 and 3. When I put the 6 back here, the notes I've supplied with the Dorian and the Phrygian, such as this one, which becomes the flat 6, or this, which becomes the 2, we can see that this is actually an overlapped result as well. So Dorian, pentatonic minor. Because of the overlapping system, I will fill these gaps with notes on my ring finger. On the 3 chord, I'll fill these gaps with my middle finger. Here they are again on the lower string. The Aeolian scale. We've learned this many ways. You've probably memorized it long ago with different methods, but here it is with pentatonic. If I'd played that pentatonic for some time and then some Dorian, I would have found out I get that note, the 2. When I play out here, I would find out I also get this D note. So I've got something that looks like a Dorian string and a Phrygian string. Nice symmetry here. A Dorian string and a Phrygian string and a Dorian string. So here we see that we've got this gap filled with staggered notes. Fret-wise, I've got 2, 4, and 5, and 2, 3, and 5. This string is duplicated back here on a shift, and these two are symmetrical. So if I'm playing in the key of A, I can go back to the 6th mode, the Aeolian. As you know, I can treat that like an Aeolian song in F sharp, or I can play it as a scale in A. Actually, I'm just going to stop in a second and show you the one you know already. Crazy Train used F sharp in the key of A. If I'm in A, I can use that shape. That was Aeolian, the 6. In A, I can use the Dorian shape at the 2. To play in A. Or I can use the Phrygian shape at the 3. Aeolian shape in A. That was the Dorian shape, where I could go to 3 for a Phrygian shape. And around you go. Pentatonics can be used on all of those, or fill them up into your modes. There's your Dorian, your Phrygian, and your Aeolian. Your 3 minor modes, the 2, the 3, and the 6. Hopefully you can use that stuff. Have a good time. Bye, guys.